Welcome to the Jacobus Vanderveer house. The house was built in the year 1772 by Dutch farmer Jacobus Vanderveer. The family had moved out here to New Jersey from Brooklyn because farmland was more affordable. He built a farmstead out here. We're standing today in a modern recreation of the kitchen wing. Back in the day, in the 1770s, this room would have been an absolute flurry of activity. Unlike a kitchen today, which is a gathering place for family, in the 1770s, the kitchen was a workroom. There always would have been a fire roaring in the fireplace. The room probably was filled with smoke most of the time. And fire would throw out heat, which was wonderful during long, cold winters in New Jersey. Not so great during the long, hot summers in New Jersey. Everything that you see in this house as we go through this tour, remember one thing. There was no electricity. There was no running water, hot or cold. So everything was done by hand or with small tools. There was no microwave to cook in. There was no electric range or a gas stove. There was no Wi-Fi, which meant no social media and no YouTube videos, no Netflix. So what happened here in the kitchen? Well, how do people cook when there is no microwave? They used the fire. They used the open hearth. They didn't use contemporary kitchen gadgets. They had special equipment that was designed expressly for that purpose. What we see here are a couple of pieces of that kitchenware. We see an object called a spider. Why is it called a spider? Long, spindly legs. You could put something you needed to cook inside the spider and then rest it in the coals on the legs, neither destroying the pan nor getting hot coals into whatever you were cooking. That's how cooking was done back in the 1770s. There's a slightly larger model that could be used to make a stew or heat up soup. Light was provided anywhere throughout the house as we take our tour today. Light was provided either by sunlight coming in through large windows from the fireplaces or by candles. Candles were handmade in an object like this. Wax would be poured in here, wicks would be dipped, it would be allowed to harden overnight, and that's how candles were made. Everything was done locally. They ate what they grew. They grew what they ate. The Vanderveer family, from what we know from historic records, they had cattle, they had sheep. We know that they had an apple orchard. Apples were one of the primary crop here in New Jersey. It could be reduced to a hard cider that was easier to transport than a bushel of apples. It was not a luxurious standard of living by today's standards, but for the period, the Vanderveers were doing fairly well for themselves. Keep all of this in mind as we continue through the tour. Thank you for joining us today.